Hey there, my fellow lunatics, and welcome to Dakon's Madhouse. Alright, everyone, we've got patch notes. There are a lot of them here, so I'm just going to read over the most important things very quickly. Check out my Shimmering Frontier release video for deeper dives and first looks at all of the new stuff. But for now, let's check out what's in this update. All right, so of course we've got the new biome, the Shimmering Frontier. We're going to look at all the details of that. We've already known that was coming. They already announced the new worm boss, but we've got a name for it. It's the Atlantean worm boss. Confront the aquatic Leviathan. Check out my deep dive video on that boss itself coming soon. We've got new types of challenging events that can be found in the Shimmering Frontier. What does that mean? Well, they showed off this picture showing some sort of arena-like event. Looks really cool. Again, be sure to check out my video on arena events and what they're like for more information on that coming soon. We've got the upgrade station. Crafted at the Scarlet Workbench, this station allows players to upgrade the item level of equipment, tools, and weapons to make them stronger. This allows players to use a much larger variety of equipment setups, as lower level items can become competitive with late game items at the cost of upgrading them. The upgrade station is a lot of fun. We're going to look at it in a little bit more detail in my overview video, and I'm going to have a deep dive video on the upgrade station as well coming soon. We've also got over 50 new pieces of equipment. That is a lot of equipment. I'm looking forward to going over all of those pieces with you guys. In the gameplay section, we have got 3 new enemies. The orbital turret, that was that little caveling looking robot creature that we've seen in images. The Mimite, which is the little crystal guy that runs around. And the Nillipede, which I mentioned in my preview video. The Nillipede is like a giant centipede kind of creature. It burrows under walls, and it is a bit of a scare creature. It will come out at you when you are not expecting it. There's also one new roaming creature called the Crystal Snail. This creature is not aggressive. It just kind of runs around breaking every wall that it runs into, but its shell is made of solarite. So if you hit the shell 15 times, it will break it and give you a whole bunch of solarite ore. You can then kill the snail if you want, but if you don't kill him, the shell does regenerate. So you can just keep on using them and getting more and more solarite from harvesting those snails. We've got a new species of cattle, the kelpal. It's a turtle-like creature that roams the beaches of the sunken sea and produces kelp dumplings. What are kelp dumplings? I have no idea. Let's find out when we take a closer look at this new pet. On top of that, of the new pet, we've also got cattle breeding, finally. Yes. With cattle breeding, we'll be able to get babies, and we won't have to worry about killing our moulin for its marbled meat anymore. We'll have babies that we can kill for their marbled meat instead. The materializer. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much. This is something from the arena events. You have to check out my video on that. But the materializer is a very interesting new object. We'll see what that looks like a bit in another video. We've got a new merchant, new NPC. We expected this. How do we get this new NPC? Where do we find him? Well, I'm not entirely sure yet, but we're going to find out soon. We've got some new tools. They mentioned the roofing gadget, which allows us to break ceilings or at least block ceilings if there's already holes in them. This is something that has been requested by the community for a very long time. I'm not too thrilled with it because of its lore breaking aspects, but I still think that it's a useful thing and something that players have wanted, so I'm glad that it's here for everybody else. We have new items called the hand drill. This allows players to move while digging and hit much faster than a mining pick. This looks like a lot of fun, being able to take those drills and just roam with them. I wonder if we'll be able to use the hand drills on the ore boulders. My guess is probably not, but we'll find out. We've got the obliteration ray. This is a brand new item, and it is exactly as cool as it sounds. I will go over this item in more detail in another video because I love the obliteration ray. The livestock workbench is a brand new workbench, and it is crafted at the basic workbench, so you get it right at the beginning. This is actually where the feeding tray is now. So the feeding tray used to be on, I believe, the tin workbench, or it may have been on the copper. Heck, it could have been on the basic for all I know. I really don't remember. But the feeding tray has been moved and is now part of the livestock workbench. This is also where you can find the new leash and the new cattle transport box, which are amazing new items that will allow you to move your cattle around a whole lot easier. Like they said before, we've got 50 new pieces of equipment. Tons of new stuff. We're going to go over all of those items in another video. But among those 50 new pieces of equipment, 10 of them are brand new weapons. So we have got all sorts of new stuff being added. Solarite ore, gleamwood, these are the 2 new materials that are coming with the new biome. We've also got 3 new rare materials that are spawning throughout all of the various outer biomes, including the jungle emerald, the ocean sapphire, and the desert ruby. When you get your hands on these, hoard them. They are vital to upgrading your equipment. We've got 2 new plants, the sunrice and the lunicorn. Those are the new crops that we're going to be able to cook new foods with. I've got a deep dive video coming out as well that go over the new crops as well as the 5 new fish that you can find. We've got a new pet. It's called the Prince Slime. Drops off the King Slime. Its biggest advantage is that it has a 30% damage boost against bosses as opposed to the 15% that you see normally from slimes. Otherwise, it is exactly the same as any other slime. Personally, I think that makes it pretty much a useless pet. I'm not a big fan of the slime pets, but if you like the slime pets, tell me why in a comment below. There are 3 new critter bugs that you can catch and feed to your various pets. We've got 10 new valuable items, 4 brand new figurines. That's going to be 1 for each of the new mobs, the Nillipede, the Orbital Turret, and the Mimite, as well as 1 for the new boss, the Atlantean Worm. There's now a wooden spike trap, which is great. Nice to be able to add spike traps even earlier. This should help the Gorm fight if you aren't quite at the point where you're getting decent amounts of tin in order to make the normal spikes. You can just use your wood and your wood farm. You should have a wood farm. Check out my wood farm video. And you can just use those to make your wooden spike traps. Excellent. We've got new achievements. I can't wait to find out what they are. We've got new hairstyles. I don't care. I'm not a big hairstyle person, but I know a lot of people are into the hairstyles. So hey, 6 new hairstyles, more customization options. I cannot say anything bad about more customization options. And they've made it so that the meadow ground can now be used for planting and gardening. Finally, it made no sense why meadow ground couldn't be used for any of that. The stuff is literally perfect for it. So I'm glad that they made that possible. All right, so they've added item levels on equipment. We expected this when we found that item upgrades were going to come. This will at least let you know what level your item currently is and how far you've got to get it to the maximum level. Maximum level for items is 18 currently. They've added the ability for your character to now call out a message to indicate when you're hitting indestructible objects, objects immune to damage, or objects that will take a long time to destroy. This is very useful so you don't sit there wasting your time on something that you can't break or is going to take you ages to break because you're just not skilled enough to do any real damage to it. Nice little quality of life boost there. And this, I like this, regular and red slimes will no longer damage cattle. This has been one of the big things that's been causing people to find empty meadows when they go exploring, especially in new worlds, because the slimes, especially the red ones, would roam into the meadow biomes and kill the cattle. They have fixed this. So hopefully people will notice that their meadows have more animals in them and they won't be running into this empty meadow problem anymore. Melee weapons can now hit plants, bushes, and tall grass. This is useful. I never understood why I couldn't cut down tall grass with my sword. I mean, I can do it in Zelda. Why can't I do it in Corekeeper? So I'm really glad that they've made melee weapons able to do this now because that just makes more sense. Nice little quality of life improvement. They have made a bunch of new graphical improvements. The water shader has been updated. They've added a wave/foam simulator. It looks beautiful. They've improved shading. They've improved the ambient occlusion on medium and higher settings. They've added a new emote for the caveling brute. They've adjusted the party hat position so it sits better on the head with better hairstyles. That's nice. And they have adjusted destroy particles for certain objects. added destroy particles for other objects, and have just kind of made the overall graphical quality of the game better by tweaking shadow positions, adjusting general effects of explosions and objects. Everything has been just slightly improved. When you log in after this update, you will notice a general overall graphical improvement to the entire game. It'll be subtle, but it'll be there. From an audio standpoint, they have made some changes as well. Goats apparently weren't making any sounds before, and now they'll go bah, bah, bah. Goat sounds. There have been some game balance improvements. They have reduced the inertia of boats, making them faster to turn around, and I've messed around with this a little bit myself, and the boats do feel a lot easier to control now. There's a lot less drift than they used to have. They have made some tweaks to several equipment and weapons so that they can rebalance the stats a little bit. I don't know what that means. I don't know what weapons they have tweaked or rebalanced. It probably has to do with the item leveling thing to make things just a little bit easier as you're leveling up the items to make it a little bit more in line with other items now. So we should expect maybe some equipment to be a little bit weaker than it was before, and some equipment to be a little bit stronger than it was before. We'll find out as the data miners are able to get into all those details. They have made the medium maze that spawns the clear gemstone now spawn up to 3 times in a world. This is wonderful. You can get 3 chipped blades in a single world, but you could only get 1 clear gemstone, making it so that you could only get 1 rune song, which I get it. It's a legendary item. There should only be 1 of them. But for these multiplayer worlds, and considering the fact that you could get 3 of the chipped blades before, why can't you get 3 clear gemstones? So they have fixed this. It's really nice, logical quality of life improvement, and will make it a lot easier for multiplayer to get 3 rune songs. Now, hopefully they've also made the rune song with these item upgrades a little bit more viable. We'll have to look into that more. Here's a big balance change, and one that I think a lot of people are going to be really impressed with. Enemies no longer destroy defensive buildings based on their difficulty level. So it used to be that doors, fences, certain crafted walls of lower levels could be destroyed by higher level mobs. Like, for example, the desert assassins could break down wooden walls, but the caveling farmers cannot break down wooden walls. So they have rebalanced this so that none of the mobs break the walls anymore. They're not going to break the fences anymore. They're not going to break the doors anymore. They can't break down your crafted walls and your crafted items anymore, no matter what level they are. So that's going to make it really, really nice for people who want to have wood, but also want to farm high level creatures, or want to have a higher level creature that may be captured, but they don't like the aesthetic of the higher level fences or the higher level walls. They prefer the lower level aesthetic. So this is going to make things from a general decorative standpoint so much more versatile, and I love it. I think a lot of people will love it too. They've also reduced the health of Omeros tentacles, and the tentacles despawn now after a longer duration. So they last longer, but they are easier to kill. We've made a few performance improvements, including fixing how some of the procedural generation works to reduce lag. And when you're sharing maps on the cartography table, you're only going to update the stuff that's changed now instead of the entire map. This should also improve overall performance. So let's look at the bug fixes, the last thing on our list here. And I think this first bug fix is one that a lot of people are not going to like, but one that doesn't really surprise me. They have fixed a bug where equipment set bonuses like the King Slime set and the Larva equipment set would impact factions in the wrong way. The intention was to only become friends with slimes and larvae, which has now been fixed. Previously, the player would also become friends with allies of the slime and the larva. So before, you used to put on your King Slime set and roam around in the sunken sea, and the crabs and the sea tentacles would not attack you because you are friends with the slimes and they are friends with the slimes. This has been fixed. The King Slime set will no longer protect you against the crabs and the sea tentacles, which I find sad because I actually used that a lot to roam around. This is going to make dodge builds much more popular again, as you're going to need a dodge build to be able to survive within the sunken sea a little bit easier. So I am glad that this kind of makes dodge builds a little bit more viable, but I am also a little sad that I'm losing the ability to just roam around the sunken sea without getting attacked by any of the mobs just by wearing the King Slime set. That was kind of nice. They fixed a bug where salvaging items without durability wouldn't give you any raw materials back. I'm glad that they fixed that. Clicking on item slots while in the inventory while traveling in a minecart will no longer sometimes select the wrong slot. That's nice. I hope that that fix also applies to messing around with your skills, because I remember one time I was traveling on the minecart and I was changing and upgrading some of my skills as well, and I ended up selecting the wrong skill because I was moving. So I'm hoping that that fix for the inventory also works on the skill tree as well. They have fixed an issue where locked chests would not spawn when mining with sledges. So apparently sledgehammers were supposed to spawn locked chests when you're using them. They haven't been. I happened to notice that. A lot of us noticed that, and that was one of the reasons why people continued to use pickaxes. But now that we know that that was a bug, that definitely makes sledgehammers much more viable. They were still great before, and I loved using them, but this makes it even better. And finally, the last bug I want to showcase is the fact that they have fixed a common reported issue where the Great Wall would reappear when the game was restarted. I've seen this myself. Entire sections of the Great Wall stay up or come back after you reload your game, and you have to click on the wall and drop it again. And sometimes the game doesn't register that you can drop the Great Wall again, and it's stuck there. You have to go around it. So I'm really glad that they fixed this bug. That's a big quality of life improvement. So what do you think of all of these patch notes? There's a few of them in here I didn't read, so be sure to check out the patch notes yourself for every little detail. I just wanted to highlight some of the most important ones, especially since this is already about a 15-minute video, and I skipped stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video checking out the patch notes. I hope you're as excited as I am to get into this. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed yourself, and subscribe for more content, because we've got a bunch of new stuff coming out over the next few weeks. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and until next time, stay crazy.